What's up, guys? We are back with another NECA Toys review. We're taking a look at a very new Godzilla figure, and this is one that, well, I've been really looking forward to because I have been burning through all of the old Godzillas thanks to the recent Criterion Blu-ray set. So I'm very much into Godzilla stuff, more so than usual. So we're taking a look today at the Godzilla against Mothra version of Godzilla. This guy comes in the Ultimate style packaging for the line, and this being an older Godzilla figure, or an older Godzilla, they've got it showcased inside the box that has poster artwork from the film. So you've got a shot of Mothra, Godzilla, just going to town on each other, and then you've got more of that on the sides, as well as product shots and a little bit of a write-up for the story on the back. Being an Ultimate style box, though, you do, of course, have the front flap, so you can pop it open. You've got a shot of Godzilla there, as well as the figure in the window, so collector-friendly stuff, put him back in if you want. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Mothra versus Godzilla figure. So the Masu Goji suit, if you want to be real specific about which one this actually is. So the one that would come after King Kong versus Godzilla. And I really liked that figure. I thought that they absolutely really ramped up Godzilla stuff, and this guy kind of goes along with that one pretty well. There is one thing on this figure that I'm really scratching my head about, but we'll get to that. So let's take a look and see how he moves around. It's kind of standard fare, really. So you've got a head that he can look up a decent bit on this one, just based on the joint system we've got going on, and he goes down really well. And thankfully he looks down, because this is the Godzilla where his eyes are like almost kind of always up a little bit, so his head hangs down a little lower to help center him out, I suppose. You've got a hinged jaw. You've got pretty much full rotation at the head. You do have rotation at the neck here as well. He could, in some fashion, maybe bob forward and backwards, but the spine hits the cut, so you can't do that at all. You've got arms that go out about yay far. They rotate at the shoulder. You've got a single jointed elbow, which doesn't give you a great range of motion, but it gives you what you would expect for a giant rubber suit guy. And then you've got rotation in there. You've got rotation and hinges at the wrist, and then you've also got finger articulation. He does have a cut at the torso, but you do have to watch the spines because they overlap. So these two will overlap, and you kind of have to push it past. Otherwise, though, he moves decent, pretty good. I wouldn't say you're going to get full rotation, but it does move better than it might look. The legs swivel at the thigh, well, the hips, I suppose. You've got a swivel, and you've got a single jointed elbow. This is a knee, not an elbow. It's really tight on this figure for me. You can hear him creaking. He hasn't given any indication that he's going to break or anything. It's just really tight even after heat. And then you've got a ball peg down at the foot. So you've got a little bit of rocker. Honestly, it's pretty good for such a wide foot. And then you've got forward, backward, and then rotation. With the newer style Godzilla stuff, you do, of course, have fully segmented tail. You do have to put this on. You're going to have to heat it up, just like the instructions say. And then you've got rotation at each of the segments, so they all will swivel. And then you can get it to go up pretty good. And then he goes sideways about yay far as well, which is pretty solid. So he does have a good range of motion when it comes to this rather large tail. So he's pretty par for the course, especially with the new, I guess, standard that we've seen recently. So he moves pretty well. He still does have some limitations. I mean, this isn't a Monster Arts figure or anything like that. But for my purposes, you know, a guy in a giant rubber suit, I think he moves pretty well. As is the case with, well, all of the NECA Godzilla stuff for me, really. It all comes down to the looks, though. I mean, that's what I'm buying these for. I want them to look cool. I want them to look big and certainly bulky and imposing. And I do like this suit. I like this version of Godzilla. I love this movie. So this is one that I knew I had to get a hold of. And I think he holds up pretty well. I do have to mention, though, that he doesn't exactly look exactly like the promo shots. He looks like he's missing a little bit of paint. That original promo shot showed, and honestly it's in the box too, showed that he had a little bit more of a wash in certain places to bring out certain patches of his skin. He does still have it in a little bit of places here and there, but it's just a little bit smaller applied. Like there's a little bit of wash on the thighs and on the, well, not a wash, more of a dry brushing, and then on like the abdomen area. But he does look really good. It's at first glance, if you're not huge into Godzilla figures or the suit differences, you might think that he's really similar to the King Kong versus Godzilla suit and, of course, the NECA figure. And he is pretty similar, but when you get them side by side, you realize that they're quite different at the same time. So they kind of share some aesthetics, but the fine details are way off. So you've got these huge, massive spines here, which I love the classic spines on a Godzilla, and I love them on this figure. I love the big, bulky, beefy tail. This thing is
massive, and it's just got a lot of plastic. There's a lot of weight back here, and it works really well. Tons of paint back here to bring out all of the spines and all of the little scales that come down the back of the tail. So a lot of dry brushing. If there has to be paint on a Godzilla figure, if the only place it's going to happen, it needs to be on the spines and the tail. So I'm glad he does have it. He's got the claws on the feet, and the hands are painted. You've got his big kind of like eyebrow plates up here that are painted, and then of course you've got his kind of odd eyes that are always kind of looking up, and you've got the big mouth here, which of course is articulated, showing the big red tongue and the mouth full of teeth. And I just like the way this guy looks. I think it's a pretty solid representation in this line for this version of Godzilla. If I do have one complaint about the way he looks, it's that I kind of wish that he did have more of the paint to bring out some of the shading and just the sculpt that some of the promo shots showed. There is some. It's certainly kind of all over the figure. It's just not as patchy as it looked. So it's a little bit different, but at the same time, he still looks pretty cool. Now, the one area where I am kind of scratching my head is in the accessories department, because this guy does come with an accessory, and when it comes to Godzilla stuff, I think it's always a blast effect, right? So it's always an atomic breath. I don't think there's ever been anything else that comes to mind, and we've got one. And I'm a big fan of these effect pieces, of these accessories. You know, it's a big plume of translucent plastic with dry brushing all over it to give it a billowing smoke effect, and I think it looks really cool. I'm pretty sure this is the one that came with like the Godzilla 2001 figure. It's just white. But what's weird is that these go in the mouths of Godzilla figures. This guy really doesn't have any way for it to really work. Like, his mouth has there's no hole in the mouth like a lot of the other ones have. This one also has the holes for the teeth to bite in on. I can't possibly get this to go all the way in his mouth either. It kind of just wants to sit there. And that's about all I can really get it to do. And it looks kind of goofy to me in some ways. It looks good in some angles, but other ways it doesn't. So I'm not really sure about this one. It's kind of leaving me scratching my head again as to why this particular effect is here and why he isn't maybe a little more specifically geared to using it, because I mean, I can just pull it right out. There's nothing securing this in, unless I'm doing it wrong, and someone let me know if I am. But I think that it's just, you know, they wanted to give him an effect piece, and this was a way to do it. And it does kind of work, but at the same time, it seems kind of janky. So overall, this is a pretty solid figure. He does have what I think is a shortcoming in regards to some of the paint applications, or maybe kind of a lack thereof, compared to some early promo shots. And I do still, again, find myself confused by the effect piece, but I do really like this suit. I really like this version of Godzilla. I'm a huge sucker for anything old classic Godzilla, so this is one I had to buy. I had to check him out, and I do think he looks really solid. I may end up just skipping that effect piece and just have him on my shelf. If anything, all this really makes me want is to be able to spend more money on NECA products, because I absolutely need a classic Toho Mothra. We need that. It's 100% something that we need in this line. We need those classic other kaiju that aren't Godzilla. Don't get me wrong, I want to buy more of these, but I would love to get some supporting monsters alongside him. And this is the one that just absolutely screams for it. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Mothra versus Godzilla figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.